So it's about to be week 4, and we've now gone through 3 weeks of this NFL season. 2 of the Packers games have been with Malik Willis, and in those 2 games, they are sitting at 2-0. And so when I think back to that Friday night in Brazil, the first game of the season, Jordan Love goes down, and those reports come out that he's going to be out for 3 to 6 weeks. I was thinking that the Packers' chances of actually winning the NFC North had taken somewhat of a big hit, just because when you bring in the unknown of Malik Willis at the time, we didn't know how he was going to be. Would he be accurate? Would he throw a lot of turnovers like he did his first year when he had a few starts in Tennessee? At the time, I thought the Packers' chances of winning the North had gone down a lot. And now when we look at the state of the NFC North after these 3 weeks, the Packers are still 100% in the mix. The Vikings have surprised me, sitting at 3-0, the top of the NFC North. And then you have the Lions and Packers at 2-1 and the Bears at 1-2. And it's not like if you have a bad start necessarily, all things are lost for the rest of the season. But if the Packers would have started, let's say 0-3 and gone 0-2 with Malik Willis as their starting quarterback, it would have been very difficult to catch up to the Vikings sitting at 3-0, being 3 games behind, and even 2 games behind the Detroit Lions. And so the Packers are literally in a perfect spot when it comes to what could have happened when, with Jordan Love missing games, your new $55 million quarterback. And it's been incredible to see what this Packers team has been able to do. And I think this shows you just how good the Packers are in really every aspect. First off, the front office. To see the Packers able to get Malik Willis for a 7th-round pick, and now seeing what he's put out there, looks like an absolute steal. It makes the Titans look like they made a very, very bad decision. The fact that they didn't even have him winning the backup job, and he comes into Green Bay and looks like a top 5 quarterback. If you look at some advanced stats like EPA per play, he's up there in like the top 3 in the NFL right now. He's second in passer rating with QBs who have at least 10 pass attempts, behind only Josh Allen. So I think that not only does this show you how good of an organization the Packers have, that they can bring in a guy and in 3 to 4 weeks have him running this offense at a top-tier level, it also shows you just how much worse of a situation the Titans are in, that they didn't even think this guy could be their backup quarterback. And I think a lot of this has to do with Matt LaFleur and his Packers scheme, and he deserves a ton of credit for what he's been able to do last week with that running plan. And then this week, just his ability to confuse the defense, to run a lot of misdirections, so many plays where he's pulling guards one way, the play goes the opposite way. Just tons of confusion, which makes it so much easier for a young quarterback to come in and have success. And it's not to say that any quarterback, I think, could have this level of success. You have to be able to make the right decisions in Matt LaFleur's offense. I do think that there are a lot of receivers schemed pretty wide open. But Malik Willis, he had to make a lot of really tight window throws in this past game. That throw to Christian Watson, put it up perfectly where only Christian Watson could really get it, trusted his guy. A couple other third downs where he's just throwing absolute dimes there. And I don't think those are throws that every quarterback could make. And I think if Will Levis had been out there as the Packers starter these past 2 weeks, I do not think we would have seen the same level of success, because Malik Willis has literally been almost perfect out there as the Packers starting quarterback the past couple weeks. And so to see what the Packers were able to do by getting Malik Willis in the building, I think that if, Sean Clifford had been the starter, I saw someone comment it in my post-game reaction. They said we probably would be 0-3 if Sean Clifford was a starter. I don't know that, to be true necessarily. It's possible. I do think Malik Willis is a better quarterback, no doubt, than Sean Clifford. The Packers clearly did as well, because they traded for Malik Willis when they still had Sean Clifford. Clearly they knew that that wasn't going to cut it for their backup job. And now Malik Willis looks like one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And it does make you wonder about lots of young quarterbacks and the situations they're in, and where some guys have failed and not found success their first few years. Maybe if they'd been in a scheme, the Kyle Shanahan type scheme like Matt LaFleur runs and lots of these other really good offenses run, if they had been in better situations, it's likely they would have found a lot more success. And I think that we're starting to see just how much, how important it is to be in a situation where you are really set up for success. Because in Green Bay, you have a top 10 offensive line. You have, I would say now, especially with Malik Willis and seeing what LaFleur has done, and I think this has been the case in the past as well, Matt LaFleur is one of the best play callers in the NFL, and he proved it 100% these past couple weeks. So to have offensive line, a play caller, and then all the weapons the Packers have on offense, the running game, they're set up perfectly for any quarterback to have success if they can learn to operate LaFleur's offense, make the right decisions, be willing to pass it when they need to, run it when they need to, break away from the pocket like Malik Willis has been able to do. And also, Malik Willis, he's an insane athlete. That's something that everyone knew coming in, is that he had that ability to escape the pocket, to run away from defensive lines and just break away for 20, 30-yard runs. We've seen that these past couple weeks, and he led the Packers in rushing this past week. And so it's just a perfect situation for Malik, and he's really come in and really exceeded anyone's expectations. And Matt LaFleur was even talking about it in his press conference after the game, that he was like telling the reporters, you guys don't know basically how impressive it is what Malik Willis has been able to do. And so I think a ton of credit goes to LaFleur, a ton of credit goes to Malik, a ton of credit goes to Brian Gutekunst for making this move. And you wonder what the Titans were thinking getting rid of Malik Willis. There's no doubt, I don't think he would have had the same success if he would have become the Titans starting quarterback, just because they're not really set up for success. They have a terrible offensive line. It's really tough for any QB to find success when you're getting smacked every single play because your offensive line can't block for you. So it's been impressive, and the Packers are 100% in the mix. And this week we'll keep an eye on Jordan Love. Will he play? Will he not play? And this is going to be the toughest test for the Packers offense, I would say, this entire year. This Vikings defense that is coordinated by Brian Flores has been the third best scoring defense in the NFL. He brings a ton of blitzes, disguises a ton of things. He caused a lot of problems for Brock Purdy. And so if Malik plays this week and he continues to dominate, I mean, it's just crazy to see what he's done. And if he does it again, that would be insane against this Vikings defense. But Jordan Love could be back this week, and I think that the Packers could win with Willis, but I think Jordan Love still has more experience. He's a better quarterback. There's no doubt about that. And so I sort of expect him to be back this week. I don't know for a fact, but it should be an interesting game and interesting to see if the Packers can keep the success up. And I think, of course, that one of the other big things that has allowed this Packers team to stay afloat without Jordan Love has been this defense and the turnovers they have forced. And part of me is wondering, when you look at these quarterbacks the Packers have faced, Jalen Hurts, Will Levis, and Anthony Richardson, they've intercepted all these guys a total of 7 times. And I do think part of that has to do with Jeff Hafley and the way that they play, having vision on the quarterback so they can pick off these quarterbacks' throws. At the same time, I think the fact that Xavier McKinney is in Green Bay, that is also a massive reason. And I think that if Xavier McKinney was in Joe Barry's defense, would he have as many interceptions? Probably not. But the Packers would have had more interceptions last year, even with Joe Barry, if Xavier McKinney was back there at safety, able to run across pretty much the entire field to make interceptions. That speed that he has is crazy, and the Packers did not have this kind of safety play last year. And so there's no doubt that has been a massive sign by Brian Gutekunst to bring in Xavier McKinney. Definitely my favorite signing of the entire offseason to spend up at that position, and it's really fit perfectly with this Jeff Hafley defense that has been getting turnovers like every single play. Not every single play, but you guys know what I mean. And my question is, can this Packers defense do it against really, really good offenses? I think week 1, the Eagles pretty much tore up this Packers defense. The Packers did force some turnovers, but they let up 34 points. It wasn't a good game from the defense week 1. But in these past 2 weeks, they've played at a much better level. The Colts scoring offense right now ranked 16th. The Titans scoring offense right now ranked 28th. So these haven't been great offenses. It's not to take away from what the Packers have done, but I am curious to see, can they do this against some of the best offenses in the NFL? That's a good question to sort of see the rest of the season. And they will have a good test this week against a Vikings team that has been one of the best offenses in the NFL, surprisingly, with Sam Darnold leading that team with Justin Jefferson over there. And so I think that this defense, no doubt, 100% better than they were last year under Joe Barry. And a lot of it has to do with Jeff Hafley and the way that I do think he's much more aggressive when it comes to blitzing the quarterback in key situations. He hasn't blitzed at a crazy high percentage, but he does bring, slot corners. He brings linebackers. He does a lot of things and disguises lots of coverages. And so there's no doubt right now that this defense is much better than it was under Joe Barry last season. But it's great to be sitting here at 2-1. in a perfect position with Jordan Love hopefully coming back very, very soon. And I think at this point, we're all pretty hopeful that, if Jordan Love ever does suffer any other kind of injury, the Packers can still be very, very competitive with Malik Willis running the offense. But if you guys would like more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below. You can also follow me on Twitter, LukeBeller3, and I'll see you guys next time.